Hello and welcome to Rolling with Reviews. I'm Will, and with me as always is the one who gets in trouble because there's gum on her shoe.
Sarah.
And today we're doing a review of The Dark Quarter. If you're curious about our two-player perspective and accessibility, check out our other video, Rolling with Two, The Dark Quarter. Sarah, tell us a bit about this game.
Okay. In The Dark Quarter, a cooperative, app-driven adventure game set in a dark, fantastical vision of 1980s New Orleans, players each take control of a Beaumont agent and work alongside one another to solve the worst crimes that New Orleans has to offer. Okay, Will, so why did we get this?
We actually like the Destiny system from Lucky Duck, and so when Van Ryder said that they were working with Lucky Duck to basically take the system and write their own story where it's cooperative,
right,
and your characters would actually improve or basically continue from chapter to chapter. That sounded very interesting, so we backed the crowdfunding project for it.
Yes, we did, and here we are. Okay, so let's talk about what we like about the system, or like about the game.
Yes, mechanically it is improved.
Yes.
Having a co-op system just feels better.
Yeah.
When it comes to using the system. So having also the characters matter and choices that we make matter really feels like it's going to invest us more in the system. Plus, there's not the massive amount of sprawl that was in Destiny's.
Or the number of miniatures.
This game does offer like an expansion that gives you 20 more miniatures to replace some of the chits.
Yeah, so the box has 8, which is the 4 characters and then 4 important
characters in the story.
Yeah, that's a good point. We're trying to leave this spoiler free.
Yes.
So then the extra one gives you 20 of the most important other characters.
Yeah, think named characters.
Yes.
Mostly.
And then you still use the cardboard chits for pretty much everybody else.
Yeah.
So, but also, it has a board now. And so some of your interactions just happen on that board, and you don't actually have to pull out another card to represent that location. So that reduces the area, because Destiny's, you were literally building a map as you put out cards.
And it could get rather large.
It could get rather large. And here, if you go to a location, you pull out the card. But here's the other thing we found is some of them, if you fully explored it, it went away. Like the app would tell you to put it away. But also we found that if we weren't planning to go back there, we could set it aside or even like start stacking cards and putting them out of the way so it doesn't take up as much room. So it was just nice that it didn't take up as much table space.
Yes.
No hidden information. So that was one of the things, because Destiny's was, again, a competitive game. You were trying to achieve your goals and, well, win the scenario.
Yeah, and the reason why that feels so good is because this is a narrative story, so getting even more narrative, even when it's not your turn, is very engrossing.
Yeah, I liked being able to see what was going on with Will's character, know everything that was going on with his character, and see the choices that he made, where in Destiny's, you do see some information about the other characters, but some of it you don't get, because again, hidden information. So with this being co-op, there's nothing that has to stay hidden. I think that's everything that we like about the game. So what we do not like, the toxic level of profanity.
All right, let's dig into this a little bit, why it's toxic. Okay, one, it is a lot.
Yeah.
It's even in the sections where they're just reviewing over what happened. Parts where you wouldn't expect it is there. Parts where it's uncalled for. It's
random too.
There's only a few characters in here that aren't profane.
Yeah.
And everyone else is. It feels very jarring. So it's not done for any particular character. Like, it's Sammy, he likes to swear like a sailor. No, it's like everybody is swearing. So you have that element. So that means that there are a number of players that you wouldn't feel comfortable playing with it. Children, people who are sensitive to profanity. So you're already cutting those out, and you have to watch out where you're playing this, because if any of those people are still around, well, they're still being exposed to the profanity that you might not necessarily want them to be exposed to, even if you personally are perfectly fine with large levels of profanity. Second, we found that profanity is inflammatory language. It's really great at creating exclamations, putting a exclamation point on.
Yeah, there's a smart way to write profanity.
Yeah, very poignant moments. It's great. However, when it's being used all the time, it turns it up to be noise.
Yeah.
So much so that you're now having to parse through it just to try to understand what's going on. I will say there is some very clever writing in here, which is completely ruined by the profanity that's layered over the top of it. So for example, this is nothing having to do with this story, but let's say that they're describing how dirty a city looks. And so and it just had rained. It's like, so the city looked dark and dreary, like a stray dog who had a bad night underneath a bridge. You get the idea that, oh man, the city's in rough shape and it doesn't look any better than when it went in. But then you layer all the profanity on top of that, you kind of just tune the whole thing out.
Right. It makes it incomprehensible to a point where you're like, they just said 6 or 7 words, half of which are profanity, and I think the answer was no.
Yeah.
And it's just, so it makes comprehension difficult. Some of it is very graphic. Yes, I get this is a mature story. We knew that going in. So I was expecting, violence and mature situations, stuff that would probably make me a little squeamish. I just didn't know it was going to be the high level of profanity that was unnecessary because it doesn't carry the story forward.
Right.
Like when they do this exclamation or some really weird description, you cringe because you're like, I didn't need that. And it puts you on edge. And so then you're on edge through this whole story and you're not full, or at least us, I'm sorry, I shouldn't say you, but we had trouble enjoying it.
Yeah, because that gives us to the other point I want to make when it comes to the toxic level is consistently after playing this, we found ourselves angry.
Yeah.
And because we usually use profanity, when we're angry.
Right.
We weren't angry going into it, but the constant use of it kind of tricked our brains in thinking we're angry. So we would walk away swearing ourselves because we were now in a bad mood that the game put us in.
Yeah, and it's just, and I think what part of it gets me is not just the constantness, but the randomness, because you could be having a perfectly fine conversation, but you rolled so poorly that you said something, but of course the app doesn't tell you what you said, but you said something that offended the person you were talking to so much that they started cussing at you and saying, get the heck, away from me type of thing. And you're like, what just happened? I was having a nice, pleasant conversation, getting some information, going back and forth, trying to further this story, and I rolled poorly, and so they start yelling at me?
Yeah.
I just, like, what? So it's hard to talk about it without talking about it because we obviously want to keep this a clean video and we also don't want to spoil anything. But again, like Will said, between the levels of just it constantly being there, it being graphic, being gratuitous, being unnecessary, it just really brings the whole thing down and makes it inaccessible. And we talked about this a little bit in our, Rolling with Two, the accessibility video portion, that it makes it just so you can't play this with a lot of people because you have to read this out loud.
Yeah.
And if you're not comfortable spewing a whole bunch of profanity to the people at your table, to the people that are walking by or whatever, then it makes it to be an unpleasant experience.
Yeah. It turns what could have been really great art into something vulgar.
Yeah, and the thing is I was getting invested in our characters, but it was hard to stay invested.
Right, especially
of
when
this.
we got hit with big loads of just profanity.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. I think that's enough.
No, the app.
Oh,
The other
right.
thing that's
So
problem.
the other accessibility issue is the app, as of the moment of this recording, is not very polished. There are bugs. There are game-breaking bugs where...
We found one.
We found one. There's 4 chapters for this thing, and we got to the end of the 4th chapter, made a decision that we got stuck in, and we can't move forward. So go to BGG. I probably should have said this in the other video, but go to Board Game Geek, go to the forum. There is a thread in there for bug reporting. So it's a good idea to read through that. I think they were trying to keep the first post up to date, but if not, check the most newest stuff. So like that's where I found that we were supposed to send in our save profile and they'd get it fixed. But at this point, I don't know if we're going to even bother trying to finish it, but we'll see. So hopefully over time, the app will get fixed. It will get improved. They'll make quality of life improvements. Maybe at some point they'll consider a profanity filter, but at this point they would have to rewrite it because there are sentences that have no substantive words other than profanity.
Right.
And even then I wouldn't call those profane words substantive. It's just that sentence would, like you said in the other video, might as well just said smurf with the smurfing.
Yeah.
Because that's what the sentence came out to be.
Open parentheses, no, close parentheses.
Right? So, okay. Let's move on. I think we kind of talked about this, but who this is for, it's going to be a very small group of people who are okay with, not just okay, but like really profane speaking, and they're like very comfortable. Like everybody at your table is hella comfortable, and I'm not obviously, with profanity.
Yes.
And there's nobody else around who will be offended by it.
Right.
And you have
So
to
you have to make sure your environment's right
Yes.
and the player group that you're right, or even play it by yourself.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
and make sure you have a device that can play the app, because that is another thing that if you do not have a device with a camera or a laptop with a webcam, you just can't play the game because it needs that app.
Okay.
All right, let's move on to our rating.
For our ratings, we each have 1d6 worth of ratings to give. 1 is low, 6 is high. We give a number, a reason why, add them together, and see what it rolled for us. Sarah, what did the Dark Quarter roll for you?
I actually feel like I'm being slightly generous here, and I think it's because I don't want Lucky Duck to give up on this system. I want them to take this cooperative system and do something else with it. So I give it a 3 because I think the system is solid. I really enjoyed the cooperative nature. I wanted to explore this place with a character throughout the whole story. Problem being, the profanity, the writing, the way the challenges were implemented, everything felt too hard and punishing. I never felt like I was improving my character because every moment I was like, oh yeah, I just moved that cube up 2 spaces because I used up all my experience to do that. And in the next second, it's like, okay, you need to degrade 3 cubes. And I'm like, what? So there's points where I feel like they made everything just too hard. And I understand it's a gritty story, but there are certain points where if you fail, that maybe you get, if you try it again next time, you get a little benefit to having tried it before. I don't know. Or just have an easy story mode. I don't know. It's just there was a lot about to do with this story on the system that just, I can't give it higher marks because of that.
For me, I also give it a 3. I would have given it a 4, but the app is just still way too messy for me to give it that. The other 2 points that I knock it down for does come down to, it's very important, the story and its execution. And both of them just feel, as Sarah touched on it, 1 is the profanity, 2 is some of the choices that they write in there sound interesting. So for example, let's say I'm going to fight somebody. Well, I'm all geared up for fighting. It sounds tough. I'm gonna throw a lot of my resources and assets into it. I roll fantastic and the game turns around and it realizes it doesn't actually have a story for that. So it says, oh, well, you think about it, and that's a bad idea. It doesn't give you anything back for rolling so well.
It shouldn't have even been an option.
Yeah, or if you chose it, you should have just went straight into it and not given the choice of burning so much.
If you had said, okay, if fighting is an option and you choose it, then you should have just gotten a story bit that said, you take a second to think about it. Fighting this person is a really bad idea. And even though you really want to punch them in the face, you think better of it and make a different choice. That would have been fine.
Yeah, instead of letting you burn through all your stuff and then tell you that.
Right.
Tell you, oh.
Because, I mean, you succeeded beyond success.
Yes.
So you should have been able to punch the dude in the face.
Right through the wall.
Right through the wall. But no, instead it said, nope, sorry, you chose poorly and you've just wasted everything. And
The voice in your head said no.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, you can make another choice. With what resources?
Actually, after that, you had to do 3 more rolls with no resources to do anything about them.
Yeah.
And it was, yeah. So, again, it comes down to how this story was structured and how it used the system. I think the system is great. If I could rate it just on this cooperative experience, I mean, I know it's hard to sometimes separate the story and the system.
Yeah.
But here I can see where this system could be used very well and how it just wasn't.
Yeah, mechanically, it has legs. It would have been a 6 for me.
Yeah.
Mechanically.
Yeah.
Throw the story in there, throw the poor execution in there, and it just keeps getting knocked down.
Right.
Because it's mishandled in multiple ways.
Yeah.
So yeah, 3 for me as well. So
6 out of 12. All I can say is, Lucky Duck, please keep working with the system. Just find other writers and try to explore more variety. And don't give up on it. But yeah, this particular one though was not for us, and it's very hard to recommend to most people. All right, Will.
All right. And Sarah.
Yeah.
With all that has been said, do you feel like you actually had an investigation?
I don't know, and I didn't fully read the comments on BGG, but I saw titles of posts that people did not feel like this was an investigation. You explore, but it's not like, other than the actual pure riddles that one character had.
Yeah.
Where you did have to know the answer to the riddle or not, and that wasn't anything you knew in the game or not. But it just feels, I'm having trouble finding the words. It doesn't really feel like you are investigating. Like, you go to a place, you know there's clues there.
Yes.
So you just have to find them.
Even your character's like, I feel it in my gut. There's still more stuff to be found here.
Right. So I think that's the problem with trying to do a murder mystery.
Yeah.
With this kind of system.
Honestly, I think what most people expect when it comes to an investigation like this is you have so many branches, and then as you follow them, it can be completely wrong.
Yeah.
And seeing where that leads is more of an investigation than, well, just keep plunking at it till we tell you the story.
Yeah, it's like you don't know that you found everything until the card goes away. Now, there were a few points, but I don't think they were important, where if you failed with a character, they did go away. Mm-hmm. But again, I don't think it was critical.
Right.
They're not going to let you not get critical information.
Yeah, there was one point where it did feel like it mattered, but because we did our due diligence, we knew what the right answer was.
Yeah.
And we knew what were false leads.
Yeah.
But the game heavily
even then, I think at that point, we still could have moved forward. It just, something would have been at a detriment.
Yeah.
But yeah. So no, I don't think a murder mystery investigation was probably the best way. I mean, I don't think that's giving away too much, because I mean, the premise of the game is that you're not cops, you're detectives.
Yeah. You're a Beaumont agent, whatever that means.
Whatever that. There's also a lot of lore here that's just not Explain.
What authority do I have? I don't know. You have Beaumont authority.
Yeah, evidently not much because nobody respects you. But
Yeah.
oh, sorry, I guess I probably shouldn't have said that.
Well,
but
your boss doesn't respect you, so.
that's a good point.
There you
Okay.
go. All right, and we've been rolling with reviews. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can reach out to us on the various social media platforms at
Rolling with Two, that's TWO. We're on Blue Sky, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. For Discord, we have a channel on Tabletop Express. Check the show notes for the invite link.
If you have time, check out the other content Nanaman has found for you, because remember, he's rolling with you.